Okay, fine. My name is Hussein Shareef Abdullah Ahlulbayt, and I'm 44 years old. I was born here in Mombasa in the year 1971, and by then my family were living in Witu. Witu is a small remote town in Lamu district. Now we have changed our system of government. It's called Lamu County, and it's about 320 kilometers from Mombasa northern side towards Somalia border along the coastal region of Kenya in the coastal shore. So basically, most of the people assume that I was born in Witu because immediately after I was born in Mombasa, I was taken to Witu where my family were living. And we are coming from a background of a family of a businessman. My dad was a businessman. My wife, my mother was she is up to now a housewife, now a widow. So he keeps on moving actually from one town to another town. We stayed also in Mombasa. And I'm blessed with 6 brothers and 3 sisters, and being the last born in the family. So much I can tell you is from the later part of our family. And my dad passed away while I was 6 months old. Yes. So I don't know my dad, I've just seen him through a photo, which by then there were no photos. I'm talking of 1971 in Kenya, and plus a remote area. My mother, she's still alive, healthy, an old lady, she's okay. Right now, most of the family, we are based here in Mombasa, and I've got a brother in Canada. He migrated there sometimes in 1988. He do come here also regularly. And one of our firstborn sister, she was married while I was still very young, at that age of maybe 1 year old, in Saudi Arabia. She's in Jeddah. She's also blessed with some kids, so all of her life now is in Jeddah. She do also come here regularly. And remaining, we are all here. We are moved from one place to another on normal businesses or activities. That's my father originally came from Yemen. He came here sometimes in 1950s as a businessman. They came 2 brothers, and they landed in Lamu in 1950s. He came with her first wife from Yemen, but they were never blessed with any kids. And he married a another wife, second wife here in Kenya, and they were blessed with 1 boy. Then immediately after he's born, around 2 months old, the mother passed away. I mean my stepmother passed away. So my father again looked for another wife. He married my mother. So in number it was a 3rd wife, but she was a 2nd wife by then. So after she started getting some babies, my first sister, 2nd sister, 3rd, and the 4th, which is a boy also, our stepmother, the first wife of my father, decided to go back to Yemen. So they divorced, and she went back to Yemen. So my dad remained with my wife till his death. My mother, yes, who now brought 9 of us, 3 sisters and 6 brothers, plus the firstborn who is a boy from our stepfather, or from our stepmother. In Lamu, as I told you, it is a remote area. Actually, I'm not coming from Lamu town itself, because Lamu town was there before. It's one of the first cities or first towns in Kenyan coast, and also in Kenya at large. As I can remember my history from school, Lamu came before even Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. So it's centuries back, Lamu. So from Lamu Island and Lamu town itself to Witu, where we grew up and we call ourselves our home, it's around 70 kilometers. So we are not immediately in Lamu town, we are interior, in the mainland of Lamu area. It's a poor kind of life, because the moment I grew, when I got my senses, now I can see what is good, what is bad. Talking about from 7 years and above, we were totally poor people, and our dad was not there. I don't know much about before that, because I grew up, my family was there, poor family, my brothers. As I told you, it's a big number we are having. So like our age gap is like 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. So if I'm 7 years, maybe the eldest brother was 17 years, was by then in high school. So we live just a normal life and a poor kind of life. Our mother used to cook food. There's a common food which we call the mofa. This is a type of a bread. It's made of millet. It's made of millet. So she was an expert. It's a really small town. In sometimes 1980, the entire population of that town, or village actually, it was around 1,000 people. So it's countable people. We know each other. We had the love in between the people, and alhamdulillah, our mother struggled a lot to raise us, because our dad passed away. He raised us in a nice way, so we were a respected family in the community of those 1,000 people in that area. Our life was normal. You woke up early before Fajr. All of us as a family, mostly we were boys, because my sisters were already married. They went to their homes now, to the husband's sides. So me and my brothers, we wake up normally at 5, take a shower, you go to the Fajr prayers, you come home. You used to go to madrasa, the Islamic madrasa, for Quran recitation and memorization for 1 hour. Then we come back home. It's a very small village, I told you, and you change the uniforms from the normal madrasa kanzus. You put on a now formal. You go to school. The school timings were from 8 to 5:30. Then we go back to home. Again, we go to madrasa after Maghrib prayers up to Isha. Now we do we learn now the fiqh and other subjects in madrasa. This was our daily routine. Income, our source of income was entirely depending on our mother's, what she cooks and sells. So we do the sales at the same time. Everybody has a duty to do it. And in those areas, there's no much expenses. For example, we use a sufriya, and then mode of cooking is not gas or charcoal. We use a firewood. So because we are surrounded with a big forest there, once a week we go to the forest, we take for the firewood, we bring home our stocks for like a week. So that was our life. Difficulties, we did not have enough, for example, money to give for our sustenance and our upbringing. Like, for example, I can tell you, I swear to you, I learned in my primary level from standard 1 to standard 80 without wearing boots in my legs, barefooted for that much. And the school, it was originally created by the Kenyan government when it came in. So it was a government school, no enough classrooms to accommodate us. Like for the lower primary level, that's standard 1 to standard 3, we used to learn under the trees. There were big mango trees, casuarina trees, they were there. So we used, when it rains, alhamdulillah, we say we are off from the classes, we go back home playing. So these were kind of challenges. There were no good education. Actually, there was no early childhood education, like the nursery play groups. They were not there completely. I studied straight away standard 1. This is number 1. There's no electricity. Till I left Witu, my hometown in Lamu, for a higher school, which I went to in a boarding school. The moment I left, up to that moment, there was no electricity in Witu. There was no water, running water in the taps. So in every area, in every division, we have a well, which we go there by using a rope and a puller. We pull water. So this kind of, there was no luxurious life at all. So this is the challenges we get. No electricity, no security. We have been bandits attacking us several times. It is a common name, if it's used there, it's called shifters. These were neighboring, because I told you we are neighboring Somalia border. So we are in the mainland, but there's a route where it's nearby than even using the ocean to Somalia. And we to area where I grew up, it's livestock farming. Most, the rich people who were there, which are few, 3 or 2, they entirely depending on livestock farming. There was no other. And little bit of farming. But livestock, so it's a grazing area for the livestock, the cattle. They grew the cattle and sell to the rich people here in urban centers and everywhere. So bandits were very frequent. They come and steal the livestock to neighboring Somalia and other areas. So these are kind of the challenges which we used to know all the basic necessities. We did not get them luxuriously, or so it was just living in a remote area. As a team, I told you, we were poor. We lost our dad at early age. Our firstborn boy was 12 years old from my mother's side, apart from the other one. So we were poor. So we work as a team, and our mother was a very good inspiration to us. She told us there's nothing better can help you than education. She meant a lot about religious education because she comes from a background of a religious people. My grandfather was a scholar and a businessman at the same time, Islamic scholar. He was very good in fiqh and Quran, tafsir. He was one of renowned scholar in Lamu. And he comes from, there's another island called Pate. So by hearing the stories from our mother, because our father was a businessman, we used to have a shop, their grocery shop, one of the big grocery shop in Witu. But when our father died, it also died, nobody to assist. And so we had these feelings that we can be somewhere. So we had the ambitions, and we see that in our area, we have like doctors, the small clinic we are having, the teachers. Those are the white collar jobs we can see immediately. So we wish also we can be somewhere there. We get a salary, good salary, and you can have a good life. And so we had the ambitions and to become also respected in a society, in our community. So those things were there, and after also, because we had an experience that our dad had a shop, was also a livestock farmer. Our grandfather was a great businessman who was moving from all these nearby coastal towns like Zanzibar, Pemba, Kilwa, Dar es Salaam, Tanga, even to Kismayu in Somalia. So it was also, there was some foundations that we are in a family of business people and at the same time religious people. So we had these ambitions that we want also to maintain. As per our, I remember very well, our house, you know, it's a mud house in Witu. It's a mud house with those palm tree, you know, the palm. Yes, it was not an iron sheet solar. So it was created by our father. There was a small room plus a toilet where it was like a guest room. So sometimes, because it's a very rural area, and it was there was a cut of communication from Mombasa to Lamu. So normally, regularly, we got some breakups of the vehicles, like the transport, the public service vehicle, the private vehicles. So my dad created that room to assist those who can get a shelter and a food there for maybe a night or 2 nights. It was there. So I remember very well also receiving guests, the passerbys who broken their journeys. We used to have it. Up to today, that house is still there, and still that place is still there. So there was some ambitions were there, and of course I told you from our background. Another thing I wanted to mention, which was very important, you know, my father came from Yemen. I never mentioned about my mother. My mother came from another island in Lamu. It's a very known island. It's called Pate Island. This is around maybe a few kilometers from Lamu Island, still on the island. And this island, it receives a lot of a lot of sultans before the colonization of Kenya. And according from the historians, I also asked my mother about side of my mother. My mother come from Iraq. The Sultan of Pate went for Hajj. We don't know, we didn't get there exactly, but we are talking like 17th, 16th century. He went for Hajj. And he met one of the scholars from Iraq, who his name was called Muhammad Abdulaziz Abdul Samad al-Rudaini. He was a Sayyid from Iraq. They told us he was coming from Basra. He was called Muhammad Abdulaziz Abdul Samad al-Rudaini. This guy was from Basra. He was in Hajj also. He was an Islamic scholar who came to perform Hajj. Then this Sultan by the name of Muhammad Hassan is one of the sultans. We don't know from which country he was coming from. He was an Arab also. He was a sultan. He might be coming from Oman also, but we don't know from which group, either the Mazruis. So he met with this scholar. He went for prayers. He was asking the scholar, this Al-Rudaini from Iraq, they're a great scholar. We need prayers from you. We have a lot of conflicts. We have civil war in our area. So I'm asking for prayers. And if you can come also for some reconciliation, for making da'wah, so that we become, because mostly we are Muslims on this area. There were many, many small islands in Lamu area, which were fighting with each other. So he also begs. So this guy prayed, the Sheikh Muhammad Abdulaziz Abdul Samad al-Rudaini of Iraq makes a dua for him so that they have peace and everything. So he invited. Then after the Hajj, everybody went back home. Later on, this guy from Iraq, so that he came to Pate Island. And he married a daughter of the Sultan of Pate. Now he started a new life in Pate, and he became a great scholar in Pate. He started now teaching more about Islam in Pate during that time. So my mother came from this royal family of Pate, but then that's why she's a Rudaini also. So she's a descendant of Muhammad Abdulaziz Abdul Samad al-Rudaini from Iraq. So also now you can see that we have royalty, we have these businesses, we have education, ilm of deen and everything. Immediately when I grew up, the religion was the Sunni madhahib, which it was taught all the madaris and all the mosques and all Muslims, which I know it was Sunni Shafi'i. They were all basing their madhahib on Imam Shafi'i, the school of laws, the four school of laws, Maliki, Hanafi, Shafi'i and Hanbali. So we were following Imam Shafi'i. Our fiqh was based, and most of the things we follow Imam Shafi'i as a. So this was what we are practicing in Lamu. Yes, I was a dedicated Sunni Shafi'i person. One thing which will relate to our talk as we go by, I told you that, for example, my routine. I wake up in the morning, I go for Fajr prayers, I come back, I went to madrasa for Quran recitation, then I come back home, I go back to school, then after Maghrib, I go back to madrasa. On Thursdays, we used to have Mawlid recitation, every Thursday at our home. Then every second week of Thursday, we used to have, there's a special dua, is called Ihda Ashar. It's called Ihda Ashar. This is a dua also, which is like ziyarah. For the Ithna Ashar Imams, it's like a ziyarah, but it's called Ihda Ashar. According to the Shafi teachings, you can see, they mentioned about the 11th Imam, up to the 11th Imam, because the 12th Imam is not there. There's no history of 12th Imam. So they mentioned, so there was also a dua for 11 Imams, which we do recite. But this is not there in the Shias. It is only in the Sunni and in the Shafis only. So we were religious persons. We were in forefront when we are invited in the Mawlids. And we were doing very well in the madrasa. We used to be top students in madrasa. So we were in forefront in the madrasa and the Islamic activities atmosphere. Yes, we use, for example, when we go to bury people, we used to recite the takbir, we have the talqeen. When we bury someone, after the burial, we recite the talqeen. So all those things, we used to do them. It was very, very little about Shias in our teachings when we were there during my time, the younger time. There was nothing, nothing was being mentioned. Actually, I never knew about Ithna Ashari. I little bit knew about Ismailis and the Bohoras, the Daudiya. Because our immediate town is Lamu from Witu. So we pay some visits to Lamu, and my mother's side is coming from Lamu. Pate, you need to pass Lamu to go to Pate. So there are mosques for Ismailis and mosque for Daudiya. There is a mosque also was built long before, even for all others, for Ithna Ashar, but it was closed down. So we never knew about the Ithna Ashari. So only Shias I knew, it was Bohoras and the Ismailis. Nothing more, nothing less. So there was no any influence of Ithna Ashari or any type of Shia. They never came to our village Witu. It's only in Lamu town itself. When we go, we see some mosque. And like the Bohoras, they are very good because they put only one type of attire, one type of cap. So it's automatic, you can identify this is a Bohora. So nothing I knew about Shia. After the revolution of Iran, they started now propagating the Iranian government about Shiism. And actually, we got some magazines. We don't know through which sources, but when we go through some libraries, we get some magazines, Echo of Islam. These were magazines which were written by Imam Khomeini. And we'll find a lot of things, a lot of stories about the revolution of Imam Khomeini. It was talking a lot about Iran. It was not a lot talking about religion. It was talking about Iran as a revolution republic of Iran. And inside this magazine, there are stories like now of the Ahlulbayt, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Bibi Fatima alayhi salam. So there are stories, they put one article. It was not that the whole magazine explains about Shiism, no. It was a political magazine, and some articles were religious articles, which we came through. Then, immediately after that, somebody who indigenously come from Lamu, he is called Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Khatib. He is now based in Zanzibar. He came there. He also started distributing reading materials about Shiism. So who is a Shia? What are they? So from there, I started developing an interest of learning. And out of this development of learning, the magazines, and they're talking about, because in madrasas, I told you we were Shafi, you can see that like a biography of other, the Khalifas, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, they can be explained at large. But when you come to Imam Ali, it was explained in narrow way. And there are no mentioning about Ahlul Bayt. Now when these books came, these magazines, when started coming to us, they started telling us in depth about Imam Ali and Ahlul Bayt. And then when you read an article, you open up your mind. Now you have the thirst to know about more. Why this are hiding? Why this? And because I told you that we had the feelings, because in our home we do to read the Ihda Ashari. Now this is Ithna Ashar. Why is this Ihda Ashar, this something? Then it mentions a lot about for example, even a name. In our family, my brothers Ahmad, Muhammad, Ali, I am Hussein, there's Hassan, there's Maryam, my sisters, there's Shifa and Salma. There's no other names apart from this, which is from Ahlul Bayt's name. So the question mark comes in. Why our names are like this? Why there were no this great, the great Khalifas in Islam who were not mentioned, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman in our names? There's no Muawiyah, there's no Yazid in our names. Why only we specify in these names? So question marks comes in. And now, these books in the magazines, which are, then these magazines, they really influence us when it came time of Muharram. So there were many articles about Imam Hussein in Muharram. They also started bringing small books to tell who is Hussein, what is Muharram. So this is how I started learning a lot about this Madhab Ahlulbayt, Ithna Ashari. They were in two languages. One is in English and one is in Kiswahili. Some few verses they were written in English plus their translation, but they were 100% English and Swahili. To me, because I'm a Shia now, the light is in the Ithna Ashari. There's no doubt about it. Therefore, maybe this is what planned by those non-Shias, maybe the emergence of the Wahhabism and other sects to hide so that people should not know the truth about Islam and the entire religion. Because religion is, I believe on the hadith that inni tariq muthaqalaini kitabullahi wa itrati ahla bayti, of which our brothers have inni tariq muthaqalain kitabullahi wa sunnati. So for them to safeguard their interest, they decided to abide by the kitabullahi wa sunnati. When they mention about itrati, it will destroy everything. So they had to hide. So it's something I can say it's a plan issue. And here, as I told you, this is an African country. Islam came through those Arabs and Muslims who migrated to East African coast for business wises. And because they were Muslim, they started teaching Islam. What religion are you? Because they found people here without religion. So who came first? They are the Sunnis. They are not the Shias in these sides. So basically, I think that should be a reason why they were hiding. There were no teachings much about. Because, for example, now, actually, there were no teachings. And up to today, there are no teachings about all other imams. It all ends up in Imam Ali alayhi salam as a fourth Khalif in all the Sunni madrasas. There's no teachings. As if this Hassan and Hussein, they were not the grandsons of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is a difficult part of it. We don't know why they are hiding. They're still hiding. They're still hiding up to now. If you go to these madrasas, you will never get details. You will never know even how many grandchild or great-grandchild Prophet Muhammad had. And this is a great man we're propagating for him. So still up to now, the problem is there. That these madrasas, they don't teach much about, they just reach the fourth Khalifa. Then that's all. They don't teach about the Aimma, Ahlulbayt or whatever. They don't teach up to now, up to today. Okay, after I learned about the Madhab Ahlulbayt, the Ithna Ashari, the Shias, through the books, through the media. I remember another thing also. A program came in local radios. But then we have these FM radio stations. Bilal Muslim Mission started coming on air every Muharram. So a scholar comes, a Shia scholar comes and explains about the Madhab Ahlulbayt. Now he started awakening us more about the Aimmas. Who are these people, what they have done. Particularly on the 9th and the 10th day, he explains a lot about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So from this type, they also pose some questions. After because they ate on radios, they put some questions. So I took an interest of answering the questions. You answer the question through a postal. You write a letter, they say, okay, you write an answer, just a small paper, put in an envelope, you put a stamp, you send it to the postal office box, which we're using up to now. So I answered many questions, which I got it right. They brought even me a certificate that I got right everything, and they brought me a lot of books to learn about Shiism, what is Shiism, and they brought me a very nice gift of fiqh also book, Islamic Law and Sharia by Sayyid al-Khuy. He brought me the summarized English version. Learning, I started learning from 1984, from the magazines in 1984. I was 13 years old by then. This was 1984. Then in 1985, Dr. Khatib came, who is a Lamu person, who came, who has went to Iran, whom to learn about Shiism. So he came again, he started now making some khutbahs, darsas, and every place. Get rebellion, he got it by then. But we, because the interest started developing, and I told you behind that These things we were doing it in a Sunni way. Like Musafir Khan, we had one. Like we had Ihda Sharia. We are doing Mawlid. We are doing everything as per the culture of Shias. Now, in 1987, when I started listening to the radios, they explain a lot about the Imams. On each day, they have one Imam. Then they have like the second Imam, third Imam. They were explaining. Then on the 9th and 10th day, they explain a lot about Imam Hussein and what transpired in Karbala. So they ask you questions from the topics. Like for example, they can tell you, they can ask you, who is Imam Hussein related to Prophet Muhammad? Who is Imam Hussein related? Who killed Imam Hussein? These are kind of questions they can answer. They can ask you. Then when you answer them, you get to die. They bring some books for you, more enlightening about Shiism. This is what they used to. So this is how we started. And so out of this, basically a question mark I told you from behind. Why? After learning a lot about Ahlulbayt, because we are not Ahlulbayt, but we are the Dhurriya of Ahlulbayt. We are coming also from the descendants. We are the Dhurriya, generations and generations. So we had some little good deeds, good habits which Ahlulbayt had, like to keep a Musafir Khan. Because it was only a Musafir Khan which was volunteered by our parents in Witu. And we are about only 2 Sayyid families in Witu which we had. But ours only had a Musafir Khan. And all the generosity all we had to the community, being a poor people in the society. So this one enhanced me to learn more. So this period reached me up to 1988, whereby I went to a high school. Now I left Witu, I went to Lamu town in 1988. Now this was my second part for Lamu town. Lamu, Muassasa Ahlulbayt from Kuwait had already come in. There was a fire in 1987 which destroyed 50% of Lamu town. So Irani government brought a whole ship of goods, items, clothing, foodstuff, iron sheets, timber wood to assist in the building of those affected by fire. Plus Kuwaiti also, this Muassasa Ahlulbayt, it brings, this is a society from Kuwait, also bring. So they brought some cash also to assist people. Even some people started saying now, people are being bought to be Shias by these things, by this food, cash money. So, but they just brought it in a goodwill way, not to buy anybody. And it was not meant for propagation. It was an assistance to the people. Also, it awakens a little bit of now about Madhab Ahlulbayt in Lamu. So when I went to Lamu, I got facilities now to learn more about Ahlulbayt. I went to the libraries which were there in Lamu. Now I saw the mosque of the Isna Ashari mosque. Now I started to inquire if this is a mosque of Isna Ashari. Why is it? Because it was closed down. Who built this one? There were Khoja Shia Isna Ashari who built that mosque of Isna Ashari in Lamu. Now the second part also came in now for Muassas al-Bayt. Now they started building the Markaz of Islam in Lamu for both secular and religious education, which is still now going on. So this gave me the strength to learn more, wider range, meet more people who have knowledge about Shia in Lamu. After 2 years, I came to Mombasa to learn. So I shifted my high school, I came to Mombasa. So here I went to Bilal straight away, and I started visiting the Khoja Shia Isna Ashari mosques, which they welcomed me, and I started learning more. And now I became a more practical Shia. So this is how it went from Witu to Lamu to Mombasa. Like it was something gradually, because as I told you, when I come here, now I went to Bilal Muslim Mission. I got a full library there. Already I have the foundations. I started going to listen to the sermons in their mosques, in Khoja Isna Ashari mosques. Then Sheikh Abdullahi Nasir came. He's one of the great scholars now we're having here in Kenya, also in East Africa, because he was well known here as a great scholar and a very influential person to the local. And he used to recite his darsas mostly in Kiswahili. And this guy was very fortunate. He used to go to the central areas of non-Shias to give out darsas, the sermons, the khutbas, which influence us a lot and a lot. He gave us the confidence that you, by doing this, you have no problems. You are on the right track. So this is your religion, this is the right religion, this is the right madhab. So don't fear anybody. Don't fear anybody. So he gave us also the strength to open up ourselves. So we started also going to pray openly to the mosques. This is how it started. The tawassul which we recite on every Tuesday night. It is the same thing like this one. You know, it recited in a poetry form. It is recited in a poetry form. I can't remember it nicely, but it is recited. But it's something known. You can find it anywhere in the Sunni areas. Sunni Shafi'i. Yes, you can find it. It is there. But it mentions about the highness of the imams, the barakah, the massiness. It mentions about this. It mentions about the name and everything. It mentions their mother, Fatima. It mentions their grandmother, Khadija. The Musafir Khan, I told you, our father kept a small room plus a toilet beside, which when we were at Witu, now if there's a communication breakdown for those people who are traveling from Mombasa to Lamu or from Lamu to Mombasa. Remember those days were Maram Road. There were no tarmac road to Lamu. Up to today there is no tarmac. It reaches some place called the Garseni, which is Tana River. Now there's about 100 kilometers from where the tarmac reached to Lamu. So my town is in between that one. But alhamdulillah, the road is better despite its maram. But by then, rains, they can remove the seasons when we have rains, El Ninos and everything. So definitely there were breakdowns. And it was only one bus traveling with passengers from Mombasa to Lamu, 12 hours. And it is 320 kilometers. You can imagine. Someone can drive 120 kilometers an hour and it takes 2.5 hours to that place. We traveled for 12 hours. So only one bus operating. Then another bus came in. Slowly, the revolution came slowly. So by then, my dad kept that room. He said, we can have a guest here. Somebody who was traveling, where will he sleep? Will he sleep in the mosque? What food he is going to get? So people there were mostly local people. So he decided to keep that area to assist those people who were passing by. In Sunni madhahib, the whole general madhahib, there's a big gap in leadership. So when we started listening to this, how can we at any one time as a nation missing a leader? So where do we direct our problems? Where do we direct our questions? Where do we direct our revolutions? Where evolutions which are coming in? So there was a very big gap of leadership. Like now, for example, because I'm not old, and I'm not an old man, the little years we had some people are following Saudi for Ramadan fasting, moon sighting. Others are following Yemen. Others are following somewhere else. Others are locally following. So whom are we to follow? When you go to Shias, Sheikh Abdullah Nasir told us, we have one marja here, and he will decide for you, and he will give you the direction where to go about the fasting of the moon. So we had one voice of leadership. And we felt we were behind because we did not have a leadership. So there was a big gap in the Sunni world. There's no leadership. So we were looking for somebody who can direct us. There was a political period time when Kenya was moving from a single party to a multi-party country. This was during the Moi era. Then another group of people led by Muslims, it was formed an Islamic Party of Kenya. Nearly all the people started following, other madhahib, not Shias. All other madhahib, Wahhabis and everybody were converging because this guy, we saw him as a leader now who came to rescue us in form of political. We thought he can be like Imam Khomeini or he can be like the other one in Hassan al-Turabi of Sudan, because we are nearby Sudan. So we thought we can have now a leader who maybe we can also direct our problems and come up with a better formula as Muslims in all terms of sphere of life, education, spiritual, economically. Then thereafter, with little challenges, it broke up, that party, even it was not registered by the government. So where are we heading? No leadership, no other person came in. There was no system kept in place. So for us, we thought Imam Khomeini, who is he? He's a Shia. One voice, one leadership. He's controlling the people politically, he's controlling the people. So why do these people have? They have respect, they have leaders, they have one voice, they have one system of following up. When they have an issue come, they sit down, the scholars, they decide on what to be done, and then they come up with one voice. Now you can get many fatwas in Sunni world. So this was a big issue to us. We did not have leadership. So where is leadership? And definitely because the Quran and the Hadith, they are guiding us to have one leader at any one time. That's why we felt if according to the Sunnis, if we have 4 Khalifas, so it end up with 4 Khalifa. And then later on, after big gap came big gap of time, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz came as the 5th Khalifa, they say, or Khalifatul Adil. Where is the gap in between? Number 1. Number 2, after him then, who is he again? Or should he follow Yazid? Who even in Sunni books, they do not determine him. Because he has no history also in the bad history, only the bad history on him. So this gap of leadership, it gave us also a momentum to go further, learn, dig deep to know about the Ahlulbayt. As I told you initially, because we are coming from, we feel that, you know, the wind, the breeze of Ahlulbayt was within us. So immediate family had no problem. Like our mom, you know, our mom still is a Sunni up today, but I got my brothers who are not Shias also, but they don't defend. And if I invite him at my place where I'm doing tawassul, I'm doing Ahlul Kisa, Dua Ahlul Kisa, or whatever, Duatul Kumail, they come, they give me respect, they support me up to today. So my immediate family had no issue. But now the neighborhood, the friends, because what it was instilled in their minds, even me myself before, whoever is not a Sunni is a kafir. The religion is only Sunni. And immediately this, about 15 years ago, when the emergence of Wahhabism, which also, it came before even 15 years, but now in Kenya here, it got strength about 15, 20 years ago. So they were really, really provoking those people. So I have got some challenges. You say, oh, everything here is written in Sunni madhahib. Like, for example, if you want to use like taqiyya, they say there's no taqiyya, there's no this and that, there's no like combination of the prayers. I say I'm combining, but I'm not making less. There's no lessening of the rakahs. It's the same as, and trying to argue as by the translation. So we have some, up to today we get some problems about the Shiism, and you say, okay, why we have a bigger population of Sunnis, and then why do we have less population in Shias? Because they say most population, I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but they say Sunnis are more than Shias in numbers. So he said, the more the people, the righteous they are. So they are on the right track, we are on the wrong track. Because they are more, we are less. Though we don't believe in quantity, we believe in quality. So challenges, they came in, provocations, priorities. Like I remember in madrasa, I used to be a top student. But the moment they saw me, I've started learning about Shiism. Now they started like discriminating me. Even the teacher in the madrasa, whereby I got everything 100% right, he can make me do wrong purposely, and he give me less marks because I'm a Shia. And other students were given priority. These were some challenges which we used to. And as a student, you know, I feel why, and I've got everything right. Why am I denying the marks? But, you know, I say, okay, because Ahlulbayt, then they themselves got a lot of problems in doing their dawah. So I say, okay, let me face the challenges. But Allah is with me and Ahlulbayt are with me, inshallah. To me, it was not all that big issue from the beginning. We had some qualities which what Shias are doing, we also used to do. So it was like a twist, not too much. It's like a removing, it's like you have parked your car, then you kept it a canvas on top of it. So you want to use it, just remove it, then you start the engine. So it was not big issue. It was easy. We used to do du'as. We have many du'as. We used to do a lot of du'as. We do the Mawlid, Miladun Nabi. We do Miladun Nabi. We do everything. So it was only an issue was the practical, like praying, like being seen in the Ithna Ashari mosques. So this was a little bit, Ithna Ashari, because the segregation was there. So it was not all that, for me it was not all that big. The challenge was to learn more and more, which up to today I'm doing it a lot. I learn more and more and more about Madhab al-Bayt and to get the ma'rifat of Ahlulbayt. Who are these people? What is their role in the society? What benefits can get someone? Who are they? Who do they explain to us? I have 6 kids. I have 2 girls and 4 boys. One of my girls is a Shafi'i. The first girl is a Shia. She's a full Shia because I took her to the Shia school. So also another challenge is we are getting here. We have no formal system of education in terms of madrasa, in terms of schools. It's only Khoja Shia Ithna Ashari, and this is a separate community. So me as an Arab, we don't have a formal something which is established for us to, so we had to entirely depend on our brothers Khoja Shia Ithna Ashari, which they have also some limitations. So this is a certain community, they cannot allow everything to be, okay, you are allowed in the mosque, we are allowed there to attend the sermons and everything, but they have their freedom too. For example, sometimes they can bring a sheikh or a scholar, he can recite the sermons in Urdu or in Gujarati, which we don't understand. And so we have a little gap. We still up to now we have a little gap, which we feel we are somehow behind, because we don't have a formal system here which controls us and takes us forward in terms of learning and know more about Ahlul Bayt and the tabligh of Ahlul Bayt. Now, what I'm doing as a person myself, we have some locals which I already learned they're teachers now, they are Shia teachers. They have started small madrasas in Shiism. So I try to take my kids there. So I have no problem. My kids now have started learning Shiism, and my boys, all of them are Shias. They practice Shia. They pray Shiism and everything. They go to mosque of Shias and everything. But still we have a gap. We don't have a learning institution for non-Khoja Shia Ithna Asharis, which are purely and everything is matter of system and times. So we don't have those things here. So that's a challenge, by the way, which we are having. Because even my kids, I teach them myself and I take them to the mosque so they get that practicality of doing the ibadat and everything. But learning, I teach them here through YouTubes, through computers and everything. So we have this. So only one of my girls, she has not accepted about the Shias. But she has no objection. She's a Shafi, she's near to me. No, my wife is a Sunni. 2 sections. I was a Shia before marriage, but I openly came up as a Shia, practical Shia. I'm ready to die for Shia now. I can fight anybody after my marriage. But I'm still doing a lot of da'wah to them. And actually I have 2 wives, by the way. I have 2 wives. They're all Shias. They're all Shafis. Fortunately, they're all Shafis. So we are not far to each other too. And I try to make da'wah for them so that they see the light also. They do also accompany me to the functions. The Shias, Islamic functions, they come to the mosque, they listen to the sermons, like the Muharram sermons, any other Ramadan sermon. They visit, but they are not practical Shias. They are not Shias, they are Sunnis, but they have no objection with me. Here in Mombasa, we have the Khoja Shia Ithna Ashari. Well, thank God, alhamdulillah. In any community, in any society, we have ups and downs. And like the new generation we are having here in Mombasa, I can say they are super. They are welcoming us. I have many friends my age and lower of my age. They are welcoming. They give me a lot of respect. I get a lot of information, a lot of activities which are being done in the mosque. Alhamdulillah, they're very good. Maybe only some limited areas which we cannot say too much. Like for example, they have an institution, like a school institution. We don't get the priorities there. We are treated like any others, non-Shias. But in terms of the religion itself, they welcome us. We have access to the mosque. We have access to the facilities. We can do anything. In religion matters, we have no problem. I've got many friends. Actually, one of my turning points recently, a very good friend of mine, Muhammad Hussein Somji, Koja Sheikh Nashri, who inspired me to go to Karbala, which it sealed my Shiism. It's sealed now. All the doubts I had were removed, and I see things with my own eyes, and you know, the inspiration, the merciness, the barakah, and everything I got. Now I so know, now I will not shaken with anything about Shiism. So I can say like this is a young man, also from here, he's a welcoming, and I've seen him also taming a lot of his friends who are non-Khojas, even non-Muslims. They come to Shiism, you see, you learn about Islam and more. So the young generation, we have no problem about it. And Alhamdulillah, the religious facilities, perfectly we get them here, Alhamdulillah. Major point I told you, we forgot it, I mentioned about it, about the leadership. Still, our brothers, they have a bigger room for leadership. Political, I can just tell you now, for example, in Lebanon, we have like Hassan Nasrullah, who is the leader of the Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrullah. You can see that he can manage to combine the Shias and the Sunnis and non-Muslims, Christians. But he can, because his truthness and his aims and visions is for the Ummah. Despite you are not being a Muslim, but there are some basic things which are for both humanity. So they create a lot of humanity. They welcome humanity. And people are listening to him, are following him. This I'm mentioning. Imam Khomeini, alayhi salam, Ali Khamenei right now, he's propagating, he's doing da'wah, he's helping a lot of people as a government. To the Muslims, to the Shias, to the non-Shias, even to the non-Muslims. This is a kind, because in Islam there's an element of humanity. Prophet Muhammad brought the religion and humanity. So you might be not a Muslim, but there's an element of humanity. So in other madhahib, there's nothing like, I've never seen and experienced these things. And we have many farms or muassasat which came in before for our brother Sunni, but they vanished at the end of the day. Their goals were not good. What I can tell those who are not Shias, this is the right track, Madhab Ahlulbayt, and we are following Sunnah, and we are following Quran, and this is what the God needs. And if you follow this, there's no doubt they are there who help us at the end of the road, and this is what we are looking for. We get good leadership. We have our Imam, Ajalallahu Faraja, Al-Mahdi, so we have no gap of leadership. And if you have no gap of leadership, you will end up being in a good life always, because our responsibilities lies on him. Ours is to fight what he's telling us. So there's a room in any society. If you miss a leadership, there's no society which is there. So we can find it as a room. So please, brothers and sisters who are non-Shias, non-Muslims, we have a system of life. We have a complete system of life. We have religion, we have everything, we have humanity. So don't waste your time being there. Come here, learn more about Ahlulbayt, and you'll get the light. I'm still learning. You know, education does not stops. Al-ilmu min mahdin ila lahadin. From the birth to the grave. So it does not stop. But mostly I can say, 3 people inspired me apart from the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, their biographies, what they have done to this world, and Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Everybody has a part. You know, in Imams, I cannot say who is better, who is not better. Those people are ma'asum. They're all the same. They're all equal. But I'm still learning, and I've learned a lot about Imam Ali, Imam Hussein, and Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam. All of this have inspired me a lot from their biographies, their system of life, their system of education, their system of administration, their trustworthiness, their everything. These are complete people which I've learned a lot about. And inshallah, I've started again, you know, I go little by little to learn more about the Imams. Yes. So 3 of the Imams have really inspired me. And of course, definitely all of them. I've visited Mashhad for Imam Rida, Ali bin Musa Rida, and other Imams also in Baghdad. We visited them, alhamdulillah.